Welcome to Sistery History, the podcast where we two sisters discuss a historical event or experience from a sensory perspective. This means we'll focus on sight, sounds, smells, tastes, and touch. I'm Big Sister Laura.
And I'm Little Sister Caroline.
In each episode, we'll take a few historical primary sources and have a light-hearted chat about them. Hopefully this will be interesting, perhaps thought-provoking, but mainly we want to keep things fun and accessible.
Hello.
Hello!
For us, the prospect of a holiday is something to look forward to. A break from work and the glorious opportunity for extended leisure time. It was much the same for the Romans, and as we'll find, their holiday considerations and requirements were surprisingly similar to our own. So, grab your goggles and Speedos, and let's get started. Laura, who's sharing our beach towel today then?
Today we've got 3 chaps on our beach towel. Slightly worrying. Hope you brought a large one.
I do have an extra large towel with me.
Excellent. Seneca is with us.
Good.
Actually, we've both got a Seneca extract today.
You do, yeah.
We have Juvenal, a new entry,
Oh, another new entry.
and Horace. So I'll give you a bit of intel about them. Seneca, 1st century CE, Stoic philosopher, playwright, statesman, one-time tutor to the Emperor Nero.
Died in the bath.
Juvenal, our first new entry, a Roman poet and satirist. He was writing in the late 1st and the early 2nd century CE. And Horace, another new entry, Roman poet and satirist, writing in the 1st century BCE.
Well, that sounds excellent. Laura, would you like to get us started?
Sure, I will kick us off with Seneca, letters 51, and this is entitled On Baiae and Morals. As for myself, I do the best I can. I have had to be satisfied with Baiae, and I left it the day after I reached it. For Baiae is a place to be avoided, because, though it has certain natural advantages, luxury has claimed it for her own exclusive resort. What then, you say? Should any place be singled out as an object of aversion? Not at all. But just as to the wise and upright man one style of clothing is more suitable than another, so there are places also which the wise man will avoid as foreign to good morals. He will not select Baiae, for the place has begun to be the resort of vice, to witness persons wandering drunk along the beach, the riotous revelling of sailing parties, the lakes a-din with choral song, and all the other ways in which luxury not merely sins, but blazons its sins abroad. Why must I witness all this?
He's off again.
He's off again.
He's so miserable.
I know, but he's having a terrible time on holiday.
Oh, he's on holiday in Baiae
Yes.
and left the day after he got there.
Yes, because it was so awful.
So can you tell us a little bit about Baiae? Why is it so awful?
First, I'm going to tell you which sense I am doing with this extract. You may have mistakenly thought that I was doing sound, because I do mention some noise-related aspects, but actually I am going to do taste, but taste in the sense of fashion, a bit like you did when we had the Baths episode. Baiae was a beach resort in the Gulf of Naples. It was very popular by all accounts, so it crops up in lots of sources. It's referred to by some more modern sources, actually, as the Las Vegas of the Roman Empire. So it sounds quite fun. But it was very popular. It had hot springs over volcanic vents. It had leisure facilities and spas and baths. Loads of well-to-do people had their villas there, so would like to go there for some seaside air.
The imperial family had a villa there, didn't they?
They did, I believe. And it was a place to go for entertainment, certainly, and a great time. But people also did go there for their health because of the spas and etc. Right. So it really was quite a popular place to go. And not just for the upper echelons of society. The more normal, run-of-the-mill folk could holiday there as well. They just did it in a slightly different way than the very rich.
You made it sound in that, well, Seneca made it sound in that extract. I'm not going to say Vegas. I'm going to say more like Magaluf or Cancun.
Well, yes, I did actually write down Magaluf. And this is where I wanted to... He was very down on it, wasn't he? He used some quite negative language. He really can't wait to get out of there. And one would ask, why has he gone there already? Because presumably he knew what it was going to be like.
The Falaraki connection or the Magaluf connection, doesn't he mention party boats?
He does mention party boats. So there are some things in there, some aspects which are probably very familiar to us. We might have even indulged in our more youthful, heady days.
The old booze cruise.
A booze cruise. Singing, riotous revelling, tick, I've definitely done that. Sailing parties, done that. Lakes are in with choral song. Karaoke, anyone?
Karaoke on the lake?
Yeah.
I think so.
He talks about sins, he talks about vice, he talks about morals, and that it's a place to be avoided. And obviously, loads of people weren't avoiding it. It's not just a terrible place where, no one would be seen dead. Certainly, what he's saying speaks to how people have different tastes, different preferences for what they look for in a holiday. So here you've got the Las Vegas crowd, you've got the stag do kind of crowd, hen weekend, all of that stuff going on.
So you nip out of Rome for the weekend
Yeah.
with your stags or your hens,
Yeah,
and head down to Baiae.
Yeah.
Sounds excellent.
You hit the local wine shop on the way for a couple of jars.
For the road.
For the road. Probably some comedy headwear if you're on a stag do, hen do sort of.
Yeah, you've got to get a comedy phallus.
Yes, which I would imagine are very easy to pick up.
And then head down to Baiae.
On the flip side, Seneca clearly is looking for something a little bit more cultured.
Refined.
He doesn't want karaoke on the lake. He doesn't want to be wearing a phallus, reveling on the beach at God knows what o'clock. He wants perhaps a nice walking tour. Maybe he wants some refined poetry at Pliny's villa.
Maybe wine tasting.
A wine tasting, something like that.
That sounds good too.
Yeah, these all sound good. What I think is clear is that, much as today, there are preferences, there are different preferences within different groups about where to go, what's fun to do, and also probably you might change. You might think one day, I'd like a nice relaxing week at a spa, but then I know that maybe in a few months' time I'm going to be hitting Baiae because it's Quintus's stag do.
I love that.
It wasn't only Seneca who was down on Baiae in terms of the sources. It crops up in several places and often linked with words like vice and corruption. So it's certainly in literary circles, it perhaps was looked down upon somewhat.
Bad reputation, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
The funny thing about Baiae is that it is in that lovely part of the world, the Amalfi Coast almost. You've got Pompeii and Herculaneum next door.
Yeah.
But in terms of holiday destinations, it seems like they were small fry next to Baiae. Baiae was the party town, the place to be. I read about souvenirs.
Oh, okay.
So the Romans, much like we do today, would purchase souvenirs from the various places they went on holiday to. From Baiae, you could purchase several pieces of glassware, and etched into the glassware was the word Baiae.
Oh, really?
And then a picture of some of the features, the geographical features. So Baiae was famous for its oyster beds and its domed bathhouse. Nice. So you could buy this piece of glass and it would have Baiae. And you could also have them personalised. So you have your own name etched on this bit of glass as well. A bit like buying, I don't know, a pen with your friend's name on it.
Or a keyring or something.
Or a keyring. Yeah. These bits of glass have been found in England, in graves, in North Africa, in homes.
Wow, as far afield as that. So there's obviously a lot of traffic. So it's not just the Romans who are going there, other
across the empire. And people are taking these souvenirs home. Actually, on the topic of souvenirs, in London recently, they found a stylus, which was inscribed with basically, I got you this from Rome.
Really?
Yeah. Enjoy it. Isn't that lovely?
So many parallels to what we do today. Do you want to do your Seneca one next? Is he having another whinge?
He is having another whinge, bless him. This is his outlet, isn't it? For all his angst.
Everything he's holding in.
Everything he's holding in. So this time, this is Seneca, Essay About Peace of Mind, 2.13. Some people undertake aimless journeys and wander up and down the coast. An unhealthy restlessness always afflicts them, wherever they are, travelling by sea or by land. Let's go to Campania. But luxury proves to be a bore. Let's hurry to Bruttium and the woodlands of Lucania. Yet amidst these wild regions, they look for something refined so that they can relieve their delicate eyes of the unbroken desolation of these uncultivated areas. Let's go to Tarentum. It has a famous harbour and mild winters and is certainly opulent enough and charming. No, let's go back to Rome. It's been much too long since our ears have heard thunderous applause, and human blood would be an enjoyable sight.
Would it now?
Do you know what he's talking about here?
It sounds like he's having a conversation with someone about where to go on holiday.
In a way, he's bemoaning the people who lead a life of leisure and therefore constantly trying to find something new or interesting or somewhere fun to go to on holiday, just constantly moving around, and they're never satisfied. They never find peace of mind. That's this essay is about, finding peace of mind. The sense that I want to discuss here is sight. Even though their eyes see all these interesting and new things, they don't care. They're just after the next interesting thing. You know that kind of relentless. Seneca relates it back to the fact that these people don't work for a living.
Okay.
So they don't really enjoy leisure because they don't have the difference between the two. They don't have the work and then the break from work.
So there's no contrast. Everything is leisure, really. And it's just a tick list of endless. What am I going to do next? How am I going to please myself next?
Yeah.
There's no real satisfaction in going on holiday because there is that lack of contrast between their day-to-day life.
So they're just moving around from place to place, maybe not even staying long in each, just completely unsatisfied, going on a circle of nothingness. It's very sad, really.
It sounds quite unfulfilling, doesn't it, the way he puts it?
What it does remind me of is homesickness, in a way. There has been some graffiti found in Pompeii. May I read it to you?
Yes.
This is just one example.
Mm-hmm.
Gladly we came here, but much more gladly do we depart, eager to see again, O Rome, our own Lares. Isn't that nice?
That is nice. So just, that homesickness thing.
So Lares can mean your own gods, your own household gods, which you would have a little shrine to in your house.
Yeah.
But in the wider context, it can just mean home.
Okay.
So really nice to be here. Lovely to see it. But I just want to go home.
I want
now.
my bed.
I want my own bed, and I want to go and see my own things.
Yeah.
So that's a nice, again, parallel between the ancient world. We wouldn't necessarily think of them being homesick, but I guess now we've got it scrawled on a wall in Pompeii.
Now we know that they were.
And never satisfied.
No.
Well, some of them.
On the subject of Seneca, he has a few more of his moral letters that are on the topic of holidays and travel. One that made me laugh was on the trials of travel. And it was apparently about a particularly arduous journey from Baiae to Naples. So either he's gone again, even though he hates it.
He's a sucker for punishment.
Or it's all stemming from this one trip.
It was the same trip.
Desperate to get away. And apparently, I believe, from memory, I think it was when they were stuck in a tunnel on the road. So the carriage was stuck in a tunnel or trying to get into a tunnel. So
we've all been there.
We have all been there, Caroline, yeah. There was lots of travel going on. So people going to the coast, to places like Baiae. There were people coming into Rome as well. So out of towners, out of cityers would want to come in and see Rome with all the stuff that was going on there. But also there was loads of travel going on broadly across the empire. An itinerary might be quite similar to some of ours today. So they'd want to see the pyramids, go on a Nile cruise, go to see the Valley of the Kings. And I think places Asia Minor, so modern day Turkey and Syria.
They did get around.
It certainly did.
So travel for leisure, obviously, but there was also travel for military reasons or for diplomatic reasons.
It was common for soldiers to go on a trip when they were on leave. Maybe they just, tour some villages and...
what kind of nipped the nearest tourist town?
Yeah, they wouldn't necessarily be doing the culture sort of trips that Seneca probably favoured. But they might hit a local village, especially if they've left a lady friend behind there.
D-mob wild in Baiae.
Yeah. Also, I read something that I found quite interesting because I assumed that you would want to quit the city when it was hot, but actually the obverse could be true as well. So people might not like to travel when it was hot. So in the summer months in Italy, it could get very hot around July, August, even still into September. And it got so hot that actually it might just be preferable to stay where you are and avoid travelling out on the roads. Some people did travel by night, but that could be dangerous in itself. Things weren't as safe as they are today. Although the Romans did build a lot of roads, a lot of paved roads, it could still be very uncomfortable travelling in two-wheel and four-wheel carriages. That leads me nicely into my second extract.
Who's this then?
This is Juvenal, Satire number 3, subtitled, "And Then There's the Traffic."
Excellent title.
Yeah. With this extract, I want to focus on touch. I'll give you some background to this passage. Juvenal has encountered a friend who is moving out of Rome to the countryside. And this friend is regaling Juvenal with all of the reasons why he's really glad to be getting out of Rome. So this is about travel inside Rome.
Okay.
So quite specific. A good night's sleep? You have to be filthy rich to find rest in Rome. That's the source of all our sickness. The endless traffic in narrow, twisting streets, the swearing at stranded cattle, The crowd gives way as the rich man's litter rushes by, right in their faces, like some vast Liburnian galley, while he reads, writes, sleeps inside, while sped on his way. He gets there first. As I hasten, the tide ahead obstructs me, and the ranks that follow behind crush my kidneys. This man sticks out his elbow, that one flails with a solid pole, this man strikes my head with a beam, that one with a barrel. Legs caked with mud, I'm trampled by mighty feet from every side, while a soldier's hobnailed boot pierces my toe.
I can see why he'd want to get out of the city.
It sounds a little bit like Oxford Street at Christmas.
Oh God, just so many people crushing.
You can't move quickly. People are moving you almost.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're being moved along with the crowd.
Yeah. He might even be able to just lift up his feet and still move.
Still get to where he wants to go.
This really resonated with me. It sounds very close, very uncomfortable.
You're being touched.
You are being touched. Lots of traffic, narrow, twisting streets. So that feeling of being hemmed in. Cattle, that maybe not so common in Oxford Street, but
not seen any.
Not yet. You're nearly getting shoved in the face by a litter.
What were the different modes of travel that you could get around by? So a litter is an enclosed carrying chair.
A sort of box on poles, really. And
Yeah.
you'd have slaves or hired folk who would be carrying you aloft through the streets. So that would be nice because you wouldn't have to get your toga or your skirts muddy.
Yeah, he sounds like he got filthy at the end of this.
Yeah, his legs were caked with mud. I'm sure the stranded cattle have left some treats in the road, which best avoided. There was horseback. There were various chariots, carriages. There was two-wheel variety, four-wheel variety, wagons, etc.
Mules.
So mules, yeah. If you're going to your villa for a few weeks or months over the summer period, then you would probably have your household goods and various bits and pieces transported in a wagon, and you as a well-to-do person would probably be in a litter, I would have thought, with your household trailing behind you. There were many forms of transport. The litter was probably the most comfortable. You could sleep in it, you could read and write to a degree in it. Still uncomfortable in comparison to what we can enjoy today.
Yeah.
Sea, of course.
The risk of pirates, though.
Yeah, risk of piracy.
Risk of being mugged along the road. I mean, it was quite a dangerous thing to do, to go travelling around, unless you had your bodyguard with you, I suppose. Martial and Pliny both mention escaping Rome because they need to get out of the noise of Rome. And Juvenal did there as well, didn't he?
Yeah, Juvenal's mate.
I think escaping Rome to get to your country villa was quite the thing if you had the money to have a country villa. Because obviously if you don't have the money, you're stuck in Rome with all the noise. Pliny's villa, one of Pliny's villas anyway, he said that he could do a day's negotium in Rome, day's work, and then set out and be at his villa for dinner time.
That's nice. Very civilised.
That sounds quite nice, doesn't it? Like having a little, I guess some people still do it, don't they? They live in the country but worked in the city during the week, but they might have a little country bolt hole.
Get out of the rat race. I read a few Pliny extracts that were certainly focused on quiet time, or very much actually the absence of sound for him. He seemed to like, get his work done, nice quiet walks, all that sort of thing. He revelled in the quiet of the countryside. Whereas Symmachus, he was talking about going to Rome or cities or Baiae even, just especially for the noise and for the sensory aspects, so for the hecticness, for the hubbub.
That's interesting. Maybe I'd want to go on holiday with him, maybe not.
Well, I think it just comes back to the point we were talking about at the beginning, isn't it? There's lots of options for your type of holiday, and you might one time feel, yeah, I want some hubbub, and then you might think, no, I don't. I just want a quiet weekend in the country.
In my Horace extract, actually, he travels part of his way by boat because he's going through the marshes just outside Rome. So he's going on a canal boat.
That sounds quite pleasant, doesn't it? Quite rustic.
It sounds like a kind of Nile cruise almost.
Yeah.
Slow pace.
Yes, I think in the reality of ancient Rome, you were probably quite frustrating. The slow pace that we might find quite idyllic today, quite evocative of days gone by, I think was probably ended up being quite frustrating. One thing they did to break up the journey, sometimes if it was particularly long, was use resting places between their start out point and their villa, sort of mini shacks almost, called deversoria. I think Cicero had a number of these, so he had various villas across Italy. Quite small, I think they were quite basic, but it meant that you could break up your journey, you could get a night's sleep, you could get some rest.
Would you have your own little shacks?
Yes, yeah, you could have your own.
Interesting.
And I presume you could borrow a friend's. And what you would do is you would get people from your staff to make the shack ready for you if you're out on your journey. So Cicero might call ahead to his villa at Arpinum and get some of the people to come along and, I don't know, make up a bed.
Make up a bed and a fire.
Pot of wine. If you didn't have the shacks at your disposal, then you were at the mercy of either travelling through the night, which could be unpleasant and dangerous, as we've mentioned, but there were inns and hotels available, which you could use. In fact, I did come across a quite funny itemised hotel bill, if you would like to hear it.
Sure.
Definitely. So this particular chap, I didn't note down the name, but his bill consisted of a pint of wine, a pint, this is for one night, bread, other food, girl for the night, hay for the mule. Sounds like he had a great time.
How much did that set him back?
Oh, I think it was only something like a couple of pence.
Oh, wow.
In our money, it was very reasonable.
Great deal.
Yeah.
Actually, that brings me to Horace, if you are finished.
I'm done, yes.
I must say, though, that it does sound very uncomfortable travelling, doesn't it? Horace, I think, has had a similar situation here. And he's talking about a journey from Rome to Brundisium, which is modern-day Brindisi, which is about 370-ish miles along the Appian Way, which is the major road leading out of Rome. What I want to focus on here are the sounds of travelling, even though within this extract, there's lots of sensory description going on. Sensorial overload with this extract. This is Horace, Satire 1.5. By the time the fare was paid and the mule hitched, a whole hour had gone by. The damn mosquitoes and frogs in the marsh made sleep impossible, while a boatman and a passenger, both drunk from too much cheap wine, took turns serenading their absent girlfriends. Finally, the passenger was exhausted and fell asleep. Soon after Beneventum, Apulia began to reveal her mountains, so familiar to me. They were scorched by the hot wind, and we would never have managed to crawl through them if an inn near Trivicum had not taken us in for the night. But it was filled with eye-stinging smoke because there were damp branches, leaves and all, burning in the fireplace. I very stupidly waited up half the night for a deceitful girl. When I finally fell asleep, I dreamed of Venus and wet my bedclothes.
Did he have a wet dream?
I think he did.
Horace.
Well, he's being honest.
He's being honest. So his itemised bill would not include the girl for the night.
No.
Because she didn't turn up.
This does highlight that actually prostitutes were available in these inns and hotels quite readily. So that might be a little added extra.
I mean, certainly if it's okay for it to appear on your bill, it can't be that frowned upon.
It's like getting the blue movies.
Oh, the blue movies.
In your itemised hotel bill, you go, oh no, I just pressed the button by accident.
I was looking for the Lion King.
A lot of things Horace talks about here. Mainly he can't sleep because people are being too loud.
Yeah.
I've had that on holiday. That is probably my biggest fear about going on holiday. Other people being loud. Do you get that same fear?
Yes, I completely understand that because everyone's in a sort of state of holiday, aren't they? They're in a heightened state of having fun, too much drink, staying up too late, not having to get up in the morning. So everyone's sense of decorum in terms of a suitable bedtime has gone completely out of the window by about 1 p.m. probably.
I've never had someone serenade. Well, maybe I have actually. Maybe while I was on the booze cruise in Magaluf. I've never had to stay awake because of the frogs in the marsh.
No.
But I have had to stay awake because of the crickets and the cicadas. That can get loud.
Yeah, that can get very loud actually. But usually I tend to find that quite comforting. Mosquitoes, that's a common one that many people struggle with today. Yeah, if you hear one in your room, you think it's going to get me.
Game over. What he is talking about here is travel, I know I've said this before, by boat through the marsh. And outside the edges of Rome was quite a boggy marshland. It wasn't the quickest way to travel, but you could be dragged through the marshes by a mule walking along the land and then dragging the boat. And also, interestingly, he talks about this inn that he stays in and they've put the wrong leaves in the fire. And it's just so uncomfortable. Obviously, we don't get that nowadays, but you still get an open fire every now and then. You can still put damp leaves in it and have stinging eyes. Other uncomfortable things about travelling, bed bugs. Petronius mentions bed bugs in his Satyricon. Have
Yeah.
you ever had bed bugs?
No, I haven't. Didn't you though?
Yeah, I did.
You did when you went travelling. Was it Australia?
It was Australia. It was a horrible
I remember
experience.
you emailed us a picture of said bites, which was quite pleasant because I think the email arrived at lunchtime.
You're very welcome. They're horrible little things. I actually woke up to see them scuttling away from my arm, all engorged with my
You
blood.
didn't?
Yeah.
That's horrible.
It was quite horrible. And I didn't know what they were because this was my first experience with bed bugs. But then every single hostel I stayed in afterwards, I was very, very vigilant.
So they're quite big then?
Well, they were after they'd been feasting on me all
Whoa.
night. And the way you get rid of them, so I had to put all of my clothes in a black bin bag and then put it out in the sun.
Yeah.
And then they basically roast to death.
Nice.
And they all end up at the bottom of the bin bag at the end. Nothing quite says holiday like a quiz, though.
Well, yeah, nice country pub.
Oh,
Bit
yeah,
of dinner.
pub.
Pint of cider. Quiz.
Hopefully win the £50 jackpot.
Yeah.
Okay, is that what's on offer today?
No.
Right.
Bad luck. On offer today are 7 points.
Oh, okay, I'll take it.
From 4 questions. Question number 1. Do you remember the 80s sitcom Heidi High?
Vaguely.
It was set in around 1960, that sort of time.
How old do you think I am?
No, but it was on the telly when we were young.
Okay.
Anyway, it was set at a fictional holiday camp, and I'm going to ask you what the holiday camp was called. But it's multiple choice. You've got 3 options.
Okay, I'll give it a go.
Was it A, Maplin's? Was it B, Franklin's? Was it C, Frimpton's?
Oh, I kind of want it to be Frimpton's, so I'm going to say Frimpton's.
It was Maplin's.
No, it wasn't.
It was.
I was going to say definitely not Maplin's because that's an electrical shop.
Not in 1959 or 1960. I agree. Frimpton's was good.
I'd stay at Frimpton's.
Okay.
Wouldn't stay at Maplin's.
Maybe I should go into marketing and brand management for holiday resorts because that was all my own work. Frimpton's.
Frimpton's. Yeah. I guess if you wanted a new USB cable, I'd be all over Maplin's.
Mm-hmm.
But as it is, I think I'm going for Frimpton's.
Okay, fine. Question 2. The 1953 film Roman Holiday was set in Rome and follows the blossoming relationship between a princess called Anne, who is touring Europe, and an American news reporter called Joe. Who played the lead roles? There are 2 points available here.
Is there multiple choice?
No.
Oh. Is it the guy who danced? Is it Gene Kelly?
No.
Is it somebody who can sing?
I don't think so.
Oh, what does it begin with?
G?
Gene Kelly.
No. G.P.
Gregory Peck.
Yes!
Oh! Wow.
Good.
Okay.
But I think I'm only going to give you half because that was substantially assisted.
What are the...
And then you need the lady.
What are her initials?
A.H.
Anne Hathaway?
No, 1953.
Anne Hesh.
1953.
Anne?
No.
Okay. No.
Audrey Hepburn.
Oh!
I'm giving you 1/2 out of 2. Question 3. I'm going to give you 3 holiday types, and I'd like you to rank them in order of popularity. This is based on UK data from 2022. The 3 holiday types are cruise, adventure holiday, city break. I would like you to rank them from the least popular to the most popular, and you get a point for each one that you've got in the correct position.
Adventure is the least popular, and then it's city break, and then it's cruise.
You were correct with adventure.
Oh, what? City break's above cruise?
Yeah. So according to this 2022 UK data, adventure holiday, 7% of folk say that's their favourite. Cruise was only 9%.
Really?
City break, 32.
I'm surprised by that because the cruise industry is booming.
Do you want to guess what the top one was?
No idea.
Beach holiday.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Only at 34%, so only 2% more than city break.
Well, do you know what? I've learned something.
There we go. Okay, so you're currently at 1.5 out of 6.
Rude.
Not going so well. All right. Question 4, final question. We can define holiday as a period of leisure or recreation, often spent travelling or away from home. According to a quick Google search I did yesterday, who invented holidays?
Jesus.
No. Though I'm interested in your reasoning. Quite topical.
The Romans?
Yeah.
Of course. Okay.
Well done.
Thank you.
2.5 out of 7.
Do you know what? I had a lovely holiday. Thank you.
Me too.
Abtra and atoll protected.
If you enjoyed what you heard today, please do take a moment to like, rate, or subscribe wherever you downloaded this podcast. You can follow Sistery History on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or why not email us with an episode request at sisteryhistory@gmail.com. Join us next time when we'll be continuing our sensory exploration into the lives of the ancient Romans.
Bye.
Bye.